Have you ever been invited to a party and you decided in that moment you were going to be the hottest babe there? Well, that's how Sarah felt. She decided she wanted a thinner, smoother, sleeker look. So she walked into her closet to see what her choices were, and then all of a sudden she saw them. She saw that pair of beige pants she'd spent a fortune on and she'd never worn. And she hadn't worn them because they showed every single lump and bump imaginable, not to mention the panty lines. So here's what happened. Sarah got some creativity going. She had unapologetic determination. And when those two intersected, she noticed the unnoticed. A pair of control top pantyhose. Sarah thought, you know what? These pantyhose are going to give me that smoother, sleeker, thinner look that I want. And she didn't stop there. She stepped up her curiosity a little bit more and said, what happens if I cut out the feet? That way I can wear the shoes that I want to wear. How awesome is it when we have that creative, serendipitous bump into brilliance, where all the stars align, and a clothes closet, a pair of control top pantyhose, and a pair of beige pants create a multi-million-dollar business. Sarah Blakely is the CEO of Spanx. She got intentional, she got curious, she got persistent, and she became the youngest 41-year-old billionaire in the country. Serendipity is often referred to as a happy accident. I'd say she had a happy accident. I like to refer to serendipity as bumping into brilliance. And you know, the thing about serendipity is this. All you have to do is want it, say yes to it, and expect it. And I mean expect it like you expect to get a cup of coffee when you get up in the morning. If we look at history, what's amazing is that there's so many bumps into brilliance. Think about it. Everything from nylon to NutraSweet, penicillin to popsicles, the X-ray to X-Lax, and Velcro to Viagra. I mean, my God, what kind of happy accident was my Viagra? Accidental discovery, bumping into brilliance, has been happening for as long as history itself. Robert Friedel said, serendipity is no accident. So you know what that means for us? That means that we can harness the power of serendipity and actually create a life of intentional serendipity. How awesome would that be? So today is all about teaching you the art of creating intentional serendipity. And there are 4 principles I'm going to get into today. The first one is cultivating curiosity. The second is having the confidence to take risk. Third, we're going to talk about living life without apology. And then fourth, intention plus action equals inspired action. So let's get a little curious about curiosity. Michael Dell was asked, what would it take to make CEOs more successful? And what Michael Dell said was, I'd place my bet on curiosity. Who are some of the best role models for curiosity? Children. You know why? They have this insatiable thirst for knowledge, and they tend to approach everything with a beginner's mindset. And sometimes they're seeing something new for the first time, but then other times they have that beginner's mindset even if it isn't something new to them. They always seem to want to know who, what, when, where, why, how, and what if. They follow their intuition and their instincts, and the questions just keep on coming. Mommy, Where's that plane going? Mommy, who's driving the plane? Mommy, are there people on the plane? Mommy, can we get on the plane? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get on a plane with you. No. Here's the thing. They truly are the subject matter experts of curiosity. And we really need to learn from them. As adults, what happens to us? Well, we know more information. We tend to assume more. We tend to take things more for granted. We've got more on our plates, and we don't think we have more time. And so more actually becomes less in terms of being inquisitive and asking questions. You know, thinking about curiosity reminded me of a conversation that I had with an executive in the medical field. Because I've been in sales for 30 years, we were talking about what's the difference between what your top salespeople do and then what your other salespeople do. What he said to me was, my top salespeople, what they do is they approach each sales call with curiosity. They ask questions. It's conversational. It's a dialogue, not a monologue. They want to understand where the gaps are for that doctor so they can offer a relevant solution. What do his other salespeople do? Well, they don't lead with curiosity. They lead with control. And what happens when you lead with control is you can go into data dump mode. That means you're doing all the talking and the client is doing all the listening. And I think we all know that the opposite should happen. So not only are they doing all the talking in data dump mode, but they aren't learning a whole lot because they're not getting much information back. And when you're in data dump mode, it means you're not curious. It means that you're going to miss potential information that could be a trigger for discovery to help that client. The one other thing is, when you're in data dump mode, it's a monologue, not a dialogue, and it's all about you. Curiosity is the thing that will expand you. It will expand your view of yourself, of others, of the world, actually. And when you have this more expansive view of things, what happens is we become more open. And when you are open, life opens up to you. Someone once said that when you are open up to life, life then opens up to you. I really see curiosity as this beautiful conduit to living our best life and to clearing the path for those bumps into brilliance, to create intentional serendipity. And curiosity is also a conduit to one more thing, and that is building confidence so that you can take risk. You know, my boyfriend, Fred, great guy, he and I have been together 9.5 years. I met him in Florida. He was living in Miami, and I loved him because he was so interesting. He's probably one of the most interesting people I've ever met. We were out one day, and he was telling me that he has a hard time getting up in the morning to go to work. And I thought, you're kidding me. How could you have a hard time getting up in the morning to go to work? You seem fine with what you're doing. This man was the international economic development leader for the state of Florida. And what he did was he traveled around the world and created opportunities for Florida. And he met with dignitaries and governors and even heads of state at times. On paper, his job would have looked envious. His career would have looked envious to any of us. Here's the thing. Fred loved the security of getting a consistent paycheck, right? But even though he had that, he had a hole in his heart, and he also had a hole in his wallet. Because even though he was getting a consistent paycheck, he hadn't had a raise in 10 years. He was trading happiness for happy less. That means you're living a compromised life. And when you live a compromised life, it's draining, isn't it? It's emotionally draining. And if you're in a compromised life, then you will also compromise opportunities for bumping into brilliance and creating that intentional serendipity. Fred also said, I don't have enough confidence to leave the job. Here's the deal about having the confidence and taking a risk. One of the biggest gaps in building confidence is not taking risks. Let me say that again. One of the biggest gaps in building your confidence is not taking risk. You know, there's an amazing book called The Confidence Code. It's by Katty Kay and Claire Shipman. The research that they have done in that book is phenomenal. And a couple of things, when I read that book, a couple of things stood out to me. One was that confidence trumps IQ. I was really happy to hear that. Confidence trumps IQ, so I've got that going for me. The other thing was this. They had research on the difference between when men take tests and when women take tests. What they found was that when men take tests, they pretty much answer every question. Even if they don't know the answer, they still answer the question. And women do the opposite. We'll omit the question that we don't know. And you know why we do this, ladies? We do this because we freeze. We don't take action. If we're not 100% perfectly sure that we know the answer, we skip it. It's almost like being in quicksand and you can't move. Action builds confidence. When I was a sales manager, I had the sales team that I loved. But the thing about the sales team was that at times they would default to perfection mode, just like we do when we take tests. And perfection mode might look like, hey Rose, you know what, I've been working on this proposal, but I just don't think I quite have it, because they wanted to do the perfect proposal. Or, you know, before I approach this company, I need to do a few hours of research. They would always be saying, I'm in getting ready mode. And getting ready mode, in a way, is code for procrastination. But it's also code for going into perfection mode. You know, once I got this all figured out, then I can do it. Don't let defaulting to perfection mode keep you from taking action. Because here's the thing. When we're in action, and this is going to sound a little woo-woo, so bear with me. When we're in action, movement starts to happen, right? Action shifts the energy in our world. And when the energy starts to shift, guess what? It clears a path. And it clears a path for new opportunities to come in, or new people to come in, to support us in our goal of creating intentional serendipity. And you are much more likely, if you stay in action, to bump into brilliance. I guarantee you. So that's what happened to Fred. Fred got up the confidence with maybe a little bit of a nudge from me, but he got up the confidence to walk into his boss's office and say, after 21 years, I'm good. I'm going to pursue another opportunity and start my own business. His boss His boss said, "You're kidding me." His boss thought he was joking. So Fred said, "Bye-bye Miami and hello Denver," and has not looked back since. Step out of your comfort zone and into your serendipitous zone, where the opportunities to bump into brilliance are endless.